I don't know what I'm talking about. Hey, what's up?
Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on the YouTube channel. Today we are back at it again with another episode of the A Conversation With podcast. Today we are with James Reed. Hello James, how are you doing today?
Hi there, I'm good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me be a part of this. I will have you know that, well, first off, it's actually red. A lot of people get that wrong.
Really? It's red?
Yeah, red.
I thought it was Reed.
Red.
I thought it was Reed.
Yeah, well, I don't understand how it happens, but
There's two Ds. There's two Ds,
telemarketers do it all the time. Well,
Really?
I would expect that it would be maybe R-E-E-D would be Reed, or R-E-A-D, or R-E-D-E. But it's interesting, and it's something that, it's an oppressive force that I've had to deal with my entire life. But
Wow, I feel bad for you now. I'm sorry. It's red, guys. It's red.
No, yeah, quite all right. I don't really care about that stuff. I will have you know that this is my first podcast outside of my own, and this is
that's good. I'm glad I'm your first. I'm glad I'm your first.
It's very special. It's very special.
Very special.
But yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm having a great day as well, and I'm super excited for this episode of the podcast. Would you like to kind of introduce yourself and give like a 30-second, maybe up to a minute explanation of who you are and why you're on the show and what makes you special?
Well, so I am a YouTube creator and photographer. I'm also a duo. I have me and my wife, and I understand we've spoke before this about potentially having her on another time. And if that happens, then she'll have her own version of things to add to the wonderful things we'll talk about. But I'm a YouTube creator and photographer. I have my own personal channel, and then me and my wife share a channel. And what I'm trying to be up to on my channel is, it started out with me specifically focusing in on photography, and particularly a niche of photography, which would be street photography, which I really enjoy, which is just going downtown wherever I live, taking photos of interesting people that I find, this sort of thing. But more recently, I've moved into being interested in talking about the creative process as a whole in a bit more of a philosophical kind of way. And so this has led me in interesting directions. I'm also very passionate about really talented communicators and people who know how to storytell and can make your brain get ideas in a different way than maybe other people can. I've always been fascinated with that stuff. So I spend an enormous, obsessive amount of time. I'd actually love to see a chart of this amount of time watching people who I just feel like are really talented communicators. So I've incorporated some of that into what I'm up to. And so that's what I do for my own personal thing. I've been growing that for a while, still pretty small, but I also edit videos for a guy named John Hill.
You may not have heard of him.
Yeah, you may not. Yeah, he has people run into him all the time in New York City where he lives, and it's fun when I edit the videos to see all those interactions. So the way that I got in touch with him is interesting. And hopefully I'm not going too deep down the rabbit hole.
I want you to go as far as you want to go with that, because this is your show here.
Okay, very good. So I got in touch with him in a very interesting way through Sarah Dietschy, who is his girlfriend, which I'm sure everyone knows about around here. And so they're both really, really talented still back on that role, really talented creators. And so my wife started editing for Sarah Dietschy. The way that if she comes on, I'll have her kind of go into more detail about this, but she started editing for Sarah Dietschy because she developed an internet relationship with Sarah Dietschy's mom.
Wow.
which is exciting. So
that's cool.
Pro tip for the day is, if you want to get connected with a creator, just
stalk their parents.
Stalk their parents relentlessly. Yes. And so she sort of caught up with Sarah at a perfect time. There was a lot of patience and waiting involved. And all of a sudden, Sarah gets in touch with her and says, I need an editor. So Christina starts editing some videos for Sarah. And then much more patience goes by. For a while, I'm working at Starbucks. And I was in a place where I was like, I'm an introverted type of fellow. So, and Starbucks is the most social establishment on the face of the planet. And I learned a lot of wonderful things from it, but it was not a passion project for me, so to speak. It was something that helped me make money. And so this is the conundrum that we creators face, is sort of figuring out how to make money doing what we're doing. And then when it's not quite where we want it to be, which it takes a long time and patience, what do you do in the meantime? You're in this ether of a lot of frustration and this sort of thing. And so worked at Starbucks for a while. Was not sure when I was going to get out of there. I was pursuing everything I could. I'm trying to sell stuff on eBay. I'm online on these, freelance sites trying to get things done. And so I end up in a place where John finally calls me one day through the connection with Sarah and my wife. And he says, dude, I need somebody to edit some of my videos. And this quickly turned into me editing basically all of his videos for a while, and he's a daily vlogger. It's a lot of videos. Yes.
And big projects too, because I used to do vlogs on my channel. It's just tons and tons of footage that you have to sort through.
Absolutely. It's he'll send me, anywhere from an hour to 2 hours of footage any given day, and so it's 20 to 50 gigs or so. And
wow.
So this was. I'm horrible at dates, so I'm not even going to attempt to remember exactly when this started, but I started editing videos for him. I was editing all of his videos, roughly speaking, for a while. He's always had a little bit of, he would always throw up different ones here and there, but I started taking on a lot of that role, and I would send it to him. He would look over it, make sure everything looks okay, and then he would upload it to his channel. And so this all was going relatively smoothly until he decided to take a trip that lasted for 4 months or so. Him going to Cincinnati, which is where he used to live, and then a couple other places. The place that I actually met him was in Las Vegas, which is ironic. If I may go on a side note, that I've met interesting people that are on my list of people to meet. I've met all of them in very strange ways.
Really?
Yeah. So, for example, Gary Vaynerchuk is a guy who I know who Gary is. You know Gary. He's a rather inspiring person to me for, obvious reasons. Mm-hmm. And the way that I met him was in a dark parking lot just north of here in Ogden, Utah.
Really?
Very, very strange, but I gave him a hug, and you can fact check me. You can go to his channel, and I'm on there a while back.
Wow. That's not weird at all. Some fan just runs up to you and gives you a hug in the dark alley,
Right. Well, it was when we tracked him down because we knew he was in town for a thing. There was a gig that he was going to be doing, and me and my wife were like, let's go find him. He was hanging out at an office with another YouTube creator. And we knew where that office was, so we go there. We hide in the parking lot. It's incredibly sketchy. Yeah. And one of the first things I said to him, I was like, "Dude, I'm sorry. I hope this isn't strange, but I just wanted to meet you and say hello." And I gave him a hug. And the dude is so incredibly present with you when he talks to you. That's one of the things that I love about him, is that was the one thing I took away, was just sort of his focus on me, even though there were 11 other people around. I met Casey Neistat when I took a trip to New York just very recently to hang out with John and Sarah, and this was the second time we were able to spend some time with them. And so John and Sarah, if you don't know, they actually work in the same building as Casey.
Yeah.
And so I spent 3 days 100 feet from Casey, which was a strange feeling. And so I was thinking I may get to meet him. I don't know. But if so, I'm going to be prepared, and it's probably going to be 4 seconds, because this is normally how these things go. If you want to meet somebody, it's a good idea to plan for 4 seconds of time to say something to them. And so I'm walking, I come out of the elevator coming from inside his building, which is different than being outside of his building, if that makes sense. And so another girl's trying to meet, shake his hand. He's standing there with a camera on a GorillaPod and a boosted board. I would be concerned if that was not the case with Casey. Yeah. And so I walk by him, I just kind of put my hand on his shoulder and I say, "Thank you for what you do, man." And then I walked off. And I'm not saying this to say that I'm cool or interesting. I just think it's funny the crazy ways that you end up meeting people when you patiently pursue.
I would have never expected like this. That's crazy. That's actually pretty cool. Like, you know, I don't like who else are you going to try and meet in dark alleys? Right. I mean, if I'm going to meet anybody in a dark alley, it's going to be Gary. He's pretty short, so I think that I could get the upper hand on him if he tried to attack me. I don't know. He does work out. Yeah.
Anyway.
Well,
I digress.
So the whole idea of the show is to kind of show the origin story, the struggles, the beginnings, just of the creative entrepreneur that we have on the show, or entrepreneurs. I want you to kind of take the wheel with this. I gave you some things that we would like to talk about. I kind of want to know your origin story, if you will, and just kind of go through the humble origins of James Red, not Reed, and just go through the whole thing. I'm stoked to hear your story. So
very good. First off, you can call me what you want. I don't mind.
Red. It's gonna be Red. I'm just gonna call you Red. I'm just gonna refer to you as Red now.
So everybody actually called me that when I worked at Starbucks. That was like a thing.
Oh,
so
really?
I've had little pockets of time where people just call me Red. It's kind of funny, and it coordinates with my hair. It's good for branding, I suppose.
Oh yeah, you could just make like a hair clothing company just called Red.
Yeah. Oh, dude, we're on to something.
Good idea.
We're gonna talk after this. I was a wee lad in South Africa or something. So I grew up in South Carolina, which is interesting because it's actually the same. I grew up 45 minutes away from where John Hill grew up, which is crazy.
That's that weird coincidence there.
I live in Utah. He lives in New York City. Go figure. But I saw the area code, or the area code is 803. And when it popped up on my phone, it was very strange to get a phone call from that number and it not be a telemarketer. But so I grew up in South Carolina, and I became very interested. I grew up in my church as well, getting into production, music. I've been playing drums since I was 4. So then I got into video making around 6th grade. Started making videos that would actually play on the screens in the church. And so this was really interesting because I was able to watch 300 people watch my video and see how they reacted.
Yeah.
That was really interesting. You don't get that with YouTube. But another thing that is interesting to refer to with that type of environment is it's sort of a reminder that 300 people watching your video is 300 people in a room watching your video. It's the same thing roughly, right?
It's crazy when you really think about it. It's like all the numbers. She just is like, oh, I need 400 views to at least be happy. It's like, think about like even 100 views, like 100 people have watched your video. Right. That's crazy. It's crazy. It's really cool.
Think of all the people through history who, they took a photo and 100 people never saw their photo, or any number of different examples of before the internet age and how amazing it is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So anyway, I grew up there. That's how I built my video making skills. And for a long time, I was, I'm working on my channel, slowly growing it. Me and my wife started our channel, making vlogs, and this started out as we just watched them last night. It was this fun, like almost home movie-esque type of thing where we go back and watch when we got our puppy Cooper and this sort of thing. Now it's turned into much more well-rounded, well-polished types of edits and travel films. Since we live in Utah, I have a mountain right outside my window.
Yeah, I saw that vlog. It's so cool.
Mm-hmm. So I spent my time developing that and developing our channel, and it's just been this slow, meandering, patient process of trying to grow things, and we're still growing, obviously, but I made it to a place where obviously I had to become an adult and start making money, and that went into all sorts of fun directions of trying to figure out how to do that while staying true to what I'm trying to be up to. And I have a very hard time doing something that I feel like is a waste of my time.
Oh my gosh, dude, same,
yeah,
100%.
And I think we should, I think people who are in any way integrated with the internet understand that idea that it's like you have these jobs over here that are traditional jobs that are the things that are designed to make your money while you do your thing. And some people can really thrive in that type of environment, depending on the job and depending on the person. I am not I'm not one of those people. I have a very hard time getting up and going in and clocking in and all that stuff. There's value to that, and I learned a lot from that process. But it's I'm fundamentally not built for that.
It's just that struggle because you want to be able to spend the time working on your version and not someone else's success, if you know what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose that if you are really interested in the job, you can find that meaning there, but it's like I think a lot of people, even going way back, were not really designed to be in the job that they were in, but they had to do it to support their families. And so it's this interesting conundrum of life of going, okay, while I'm here, I have to do something meaningful because then I'm just depressed if not, right?
Yeah.
But I also need to make progress towards what I want to do. And so that, I worked at a couple of different jobs, part-time stuff. Oh, I will say this. So my first real job was at a production company with a guy I worked with, a really close friend that I worked with at the church that I went to. Yeah. And I
kind of have that same experience. He's not from the church that I go to, but a close friend, production company, I kind of work for him as well. So same thing there. No, we were talking about. I learned
from this production company the types of videos that I did not want to make. And it was so we made local ads for different companies, and the biggest issue that we had was sort of this. It was a rather traditional approach to advertising, which I've never been a fan of anyway. Like the television 30-second commercial, you have this insane time constraint. You're supposed to sell it to everybody on the planet in a way that's applicable to one person. But I was working on these videos for law firms and car dealerships and stuff, and I got very frustrated because they allowed the client's hand to be in the pot so much.
There was no creative control.
Right. Well, it was like we would apply our creative thoughtfulness to the thing, and then they would come back to us and say, "Hey, let's make that a little shorter because people are going to get bored, and let's make that font a little bigger because people can't read the font." Meanwhile, the font is like, 150, and they're like, "Yeah, we got to make it the entire screen because people won't know what our company's called," or something like this. So it's
I personally, this is a pet peeve of mine. I hate super big fonts in videos.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, it's hard to do well for sure.
Yeah, totally.
But I like really thin fonts when they work out well.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So we can salivate about fonts for the rest of the podcast.
Oh yeah, I have a font fetish. So.
Oh, does font start with? Wait, no, font and fetish both start with F. Okay, I'm going to move on from that.
Okay. We could go into a whole different podcast here.
Yeah. Paul's font fetish experience. So
that would be the worst show ever.
I was working there, and then that was going to end up being full time because I was doing a really good job apparently. And I had a conversation with my friend who was my boss and who I worked with. I love this guy to death. And I was like, dude, I don't know if I can, like I was 16 at this time. I was like, I don't know if I can do that. Like, I don't know if I want to be here. So I ended up leaving. And so, it's sort of been this struggle. And then I met my wife, my wife is an incredibly sort of organized person when it comes to money and making sure that things are, the important things of life are taken care of in order to do the things that you love, this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so she sort of taught me how to, like, this is the importance of having a partner, a good friend, somebody close to you that is able to complement your weaknesses. Because I'm just a creative guy. Like, I just like to make stuff and share it with people and say, look at this thing. Isn't this interesting? But she helped me get really organized and actually have a budget and all this stuff. And I would not be where I am. I certainly would not be living here in Utah. I can't imagine that I would without her pushing me to become uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
And so and so that uncomfortability was something that really grew me. Whereas I wanted to be pretty comfortable in what I was doing and not push things too far. But sometimes you have to really dig into uncomfortableness to get things done in life. And so we ended up moving to another place in South Carolina, moved back. We moved to Utah, which has been amazing and a crazy journey. We drove across the country and all this stuff, which is also on YouTube. Feel free to watch that journey.
Go watch, links in the description.
Yeah.
Plug.
Yeah. Do that. And so now I'm here. I start working at Starbucks pretty quickly. It's really easy to get hired at Starbucks if you're dying for a job. Just go in there, go in there and have seem like a relatively engaging person, and you should be okay. But so then John Hill calls, and then now I'm editing stuff for John. And that's where I am now.
Yeah.
Origin.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I just think that, from going from such humble beginnings of just like, from literally you're working at Starbucks as your job, and then going and working for 500,000+ subscriber YouTuber. It's crazy. Do you have any like stories about, just working for John that's like interesting?
Well, so I'll just say that it's been a lot of fun working with John because, well, for one, it got me my first trip to New York City and just hanging out with some really interested, crazy motivated people and just feeding off of that energy. Like I came back from New York City and I felt like I drank jet fuel. Like I was ready to take on everything. And so me and my wife, the whole time we were there, we're like, I think we need to move here. I don't know. I mean, this is kind of there's tons of opportunity there. And then I came back here, and then I went into the mountains, and I was like, okay, you know what? This is kind of nice too. Like, I'm not sure what I want to.
Yeah.
Check back in with me in 6 months. We might be living in New York City, but so there's that. Just the crazy kind of weird opportunities have come along. Like I said, I met him in Las Vegas. We were hanging around one of the hotels and just having a good time and this sort of thing. And then on a daily basis, working with him is a lot of fun because he's so first off, his humor is ridiculous. If you've ever seen one of his videos before. Yeah. And my humor is equally as ridiculous. So I never worry about putting a joke or a meme into a video that John is going to be like, what were you even trying to do here?
Yeah. I understand that. It's like the whole, yeah.
He always gets the ridiculousness that I'm trying to go after, and we complement each other in that way. So that's a lot of fun. And I will say that, so I was editing his videos for a while. He decided to take a trip. I stopped editing for a while because we had an internet connectivity issue, and then I worked on his social media stuff for a little bit. So I just recently started editing more of his videos again, so I'm pretty consistently editing what he puts out. Occasionally he's putting out his video that he's edited as well. So but yeah. most of the time I'm editing it. I do a lot of what you see, and then he goes in and makes some final adjustments or adds in a final thing that I didn't get or whatever. There's the humor side of it, which is really fun. Me and him are just, we do mesh really well together. I'm very laid back and he's very sort of laid back and goofy. And so our text conversations, for one, I can send him something one day and he'll reply to me 5 days later, and it's okay because it doesn't bother me. Yeah. And so we have this nice sort of symbiotic relationship of communicating, and then there will be weeks where we won't really talk that much at all that week unless I have a question, and then there will be weeks where maybe we talk a little bit more and this and that, but I always feel like I have this interesting one-sided relationship with him because I'm watching the unedited, like where you guys get 10 minutes, I'm getting 2 hours of him trying to make a video and trying to land skateboard tricks which can be, you're seeing this part, the clips like this long.
You're seeing
right?
You're seeing the good stuff, the polished.
Right. And so I'm looking through all of that to make sure if he has a really interesting bail, I don't want to cut that out. So I'm trying to make sure I cut that very specifically and intentionally. And so when I'm editing I lost my train of thought. So what's interesting about me working with him? Yeah. So I get to have a sort of a relationship with him, and sometimes he's getting frustrated, but because he can't land a trick, or actually today in the edit I'm working on today, he got his boosted board stolen. Oh. So he's venting to me. I'm his psychologist, right?
Oh my gosh.
And so I'm over here. I can't talk back to him. I'm like, it's okay, man. It's good. You're going to get through this.
I need a video clip of you just like at the computer, just like, it's okay, John. It's okay.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun because he's a really fun guy just to watch live his life, because he's got a lot of personality. And I also, I think one of the biggest things is that I learn a lot from watching his process of creating. Mm-hmm. And both me and Christina share that. When we spent time in New York, we watched them. We stayed in their office on a futon and we watched them do their thing, and just they'll pop in and out. They're going to a thing over here, and they have he's going over to a coffee shop to work on some stuff, and they're very, very motivated people. And so on a daily basis, as I'm editing, what I'm experiencing is him trying to work out an idea and seeing how he would do things differently than I would, and seeing how he would seeing how he forms sentences as he's trying to film a vlog, and this sort of thing.
It's just interesting how different people do things.
Being an editor like this is a lot of fun, because you get a really intimate connection to the creator and you learn a lot from them. So
do you have any plans for the future that you would like to share? Like, do you have anything special that you're working on right now?
Well, let's see. I got married, so that's done. So for me, it's interesting. The way that I approach my process of creating is I'm sort of a very slow, intentional, like I like to build systems that work better and better and better, so that I can make things more efficient and make it easier to upload to my channel and this and that. And so I'm still learning how to do all of this. I'm by no means a particularly amazing person at this process, but I have what works for me. So the content that I'm putting out, I'm really just, John said this in the, John Prosser said this in the conversation that you guys had the other day, is that, with Front Page Tech, it seems like they just want to stay the course. They have something that's working well, and they want to stay the course. And so what I want to do is slowly, my process is sort of like an oil tanker. I slowly direct it this way and go, okay, more of this. And I try to align myself with the meaning that I'm trying to achieve with my videos, as opposed to just like making a cool video, right?
I totally understand what you're saying.
And whereas somebody like John, he's very sporadic. So one day he's like, let's use TV Girl, which is a band that he uses in his edits quite frequently since the beginning. But then one day he'll text me and he'll be like, you know what, I want tropical jazz. And the next day he's like, I want nothing but underwater Jamaican reggae music. And he's kind of
all kinds of random genres.
He's all over the place with what he tries to do, because he's just, that's just the way his brain works. He's a very, has a pretty hyperactive kind of brain, and it's a good thing. It's a good thing in many senses. He's quick to shift, right?
Yeah.
But I'm much more slower and deliberate in what I do, and so I just want to grow my plans for the future are just to slowly grow my channel and keep getting closer and closer to what I'm trying to do with my videos every single day.
Yeah.
I don't have any crazy, enormous goals. I want to be more intentional about collaborating with other creators, because that to me seems to be how you grow in 2018 YouTube. That's always been how you grow on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
And so
I understand what you're saying.
So you can make a lot of videos and share them with the world. But to me, this is, you have productivity, and then you have productivity that's directly related to achieving your goal. And those are two different things, right? You can spend a lot of time doing some things like creating a video that feels productive, and it is, right? It's an important piece of the puzzle. But if you do that and then don't decide to do the things that make you actually grow, you're going to have a hard time growing. I'm trying to be really, I just reached out to a photographer and did a conversation like this with him, his name's Sean Tucker, and he's a really talented photographer, and his videos are super polished and interesting. I had an hour-long conversation with him with the hopes that maybe he would, share it with his people, right? That would be really cool. And he did. And it got a bunch, a good solid bit of views compared to what I'm used to, and that was fantastic. And so I'm trying
some of those people will go back and see your catalog and want to stay with you along the ride, and I think that's the whole beauty of collaborations. It's like you're introducing yourself to more people. Mm-hmm.
And something that, Sarah Dietschy says as well, which I think is a really good point, is that you need to have a really solid catalog prepared for when that moment does come.
Yeah.
Because if you don't...
That's so true.
Because, Sarah got an enormous boost in her audience, really changed her life from Casey Neistat when he recommended her video in his video, right?
Yeah.
But she always says that what was so fundamental in helping her grow her audience the way that it did is she had a lot of really solid content before that these people now see, and also the audiences were aligned between Casey and her audience, right?
Yeah.
And totally. So you can get a shout out from the wrong person, and it doesn't mean a whole lot because we've gotten them before.
I can totally relate to that. Of just because then the wrong people are looking for you, and then when the wrong people are at you and not the right people, there's no point to having the numbers. It's all, I would rather have, I think most people could relate to this, and you probably would relate to this as well. I would rather have 50,000 subscribers that are like really invested in what I'm doing than 1 million subscribers and not a lot of people really caring.
Right. Absolutely. I mean, it's like there's this idea, I forget who came up with this sort of mantra, but it's a big deal right now. It's like 1,000 true fans that you can support yourself with 1,000 true fans. And so it's like, it's not so much about the width as much as it is about the depth. Yeah. Maybe I'm telling myself this because I'm a small creator and I don't want to, go to sleep in depression at night, but but no, I believe it, right? I think that you can have, you need the depth along with the width, and that's how you're gonna have an impact if that's what you're trying to be up to.
As we wrap up, do you have any like tips on like introducing yourself to people that you wouldn't have introduced yourself before, and just, how you got that connection with John, and just, do you have any tips to wrap up on?
I think for me, I'm not particularly special at introducing myself, but I've just learned that you kind of have to cast your seed upon the garden of the whatever, and and try to reach out to a bunch of people intentionally, and hope that serendipity kind of happens. Yeah. And be intentional, but don't get too held up in that. With John, it's a blessing to me. I really don't know exactly how that opportunity came along. I just know that I was an incredibly well-rounded and stylized sort of editor when he came to me. And so, and if I'm trying to reach out to somebody, I just want to be somebody who brings the person, feels different than the 500 other emails that they're getting, and that I'm trying to bring them some sort of value, and that I'm a friendly, interesting person to work with, that I can do something meaningful for them. And that's a weird art. Like that's not my area of expertise at all, but but I think that for me it's just been, not trying to necessarily approach people like too professionally, but just like my rule for if you want to make friends in life is you need to be somebody who somebody wants to be a friend to. Right?
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I think that's always, it's like if you walk into a room, you're in this big room full of people, and let's say that you're, socially anxious or whatever, it's like the way that you, like, don't worry too much about trying to get something perfectly aligned to where you're going to say things the right way and it's going to not feel too much this way or something. I say be a friend, be obsessed with serving that person in the conversation. And I don't know. I feel like that's probably a good thing.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to wrap up on there. I really like what you said there. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like on the video. Did you enjoy the podcast? Who do you want to see next on the podcast? Let me know in the comments below. If you guys are listening to the audio version of the podcast, make sure to leave a review in the iTunes store. It means a lot, and also it helps whole ton. If you want to go check out James Red, if you don't know who he is, for the 3 people who don't know who he is, there will be links to his YouTube and just social medias in the description down below. We did some really awesome stuff for John, and yeah, it's just, his story is really awesome, and I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Is there anything really quickly that you want to throw in there as we wrap up?
I say that I've been obsessed with this idea of doing things that are meaningful, like with your creative work.
Yeah.
Trying to do things that are meaningful and not so much because you see a lot of people who are pursuing sort of a happiness that comes from making videos. There's value to that, but I think that what is a much better thing to pursue is happiness within trying to make something that's meaningful and helpful to people, and something that you
makes
feel
a difference.
Yeah, that makes a difference, and that you feel like is interesting to share with the world, that might make somebody actually change their life just a little bit.
Yeah. Basically, don't be like Jake Paul. Okay.
That was what we were working up to this entire podcast, I think. Yes.
Yeah, that was the entirety of the podcast was just for that line. Okay.
Don't film a dead guy.
Don't film a dead guy, yeah. That's a tip of the day, kids. Don't film dead people. Okay, well, thanks so much for being on the show. It means a whole lot for you to come on the show. If you guys enjoyed the video, as I said, make sure to leave a like on the video. Peace, everyone. I will see you in the next episode. Awesome.
How'd that feel, man?
That felt awesome.
With the music still in your ears, you're on